Hello, you beautiful soul. Welcome to the podcast. This is Zia, a mystic visionary, and I'm here with a new word for the week. And if you don't know what that's about, you need to go back to episode 1 and listen to that. So I have my box right here in front of me, and I'm opening it up, and I'm going to remove my crystal out of there. And I'm going to shuffle the words around and find the perfect word. Oh, there's lots of them left in here. All right, there it is right there. There's my word for the week. And the word is prepare. Prepare. I'll have to give that some thought. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into meditation, and I'm going to contemplate that word and share with you what that means in the new paradigm. So I'll be back after I meditate. Okay, I'm back. Wow, that is a difficult word for me. Prepare. It took me a while to meditate on that and kind of come to some understanding of what that means in the new paradigm. First, I have to share why the word sort of triggers me. Prepare sort of is immersed in fear. It feels like that feeling of you're afraid, so if you prepare enough, you feel safe. And it takes me back to my late husband, who was a Vietnam veteran and who had severe PTSD. And he considered himself a survivalist. And he had been to Vietnam in these villages during the worst parts of the war, and he saw these villages with these innocent people just devastated. And he saw how unprepared they were for anything like this. They were just, had no idea, no clue what was coming. And so when he got back, he saw the vulnerability of innocence and not paying attention and not being prepared. So what he did is he immersed himself in preparation for some event or some, invasion or the government overthrow or a number of things. But he felt he was prepared. And we even had a motorhome that he turned into the, survival vehicle with food and water and weapons and solar panels and you name it. It was just kind of crazy. But there are a lot of people like that. And right now there are people like that. There are people called preppers. That's an abbreviation for being prepared. They're preppers because they see or feel that something is happening. There's a shift that's happening, or there's this chaos that's at hand, and they worry that things are going to collapse. So if they're prepared, then they'll be able to survive. And I get that. I completely get that, and I understand there's nothing wrong with being prepared for, like when I lived in California for years, we had earthquake preparedness. We had our earthquake kits that we could survive, 5 to 7 days with water and food. And we had clothes that we had so we could have, closed-toed shoes. So if we had to walk through glass or whatever, we had that in our little pack. And, that is being prepared for some kind of disaster. And there's nothing wrong with that. So when you look at the word prepare, and that means, I think it's related to trying to survive some kind of event or outcome that seems negative. But then there's the preparing for an exam. You're going to take a test in school, so you're going to prepare so you can get a good grade. There's the preparing for vacation. You have to make all the plans in advance and, map your trip and decide if you're going to take a plane or you're going to take a train. And it's preparing. So preparing on itself is not a bad thing. It has a lot of meanings. But when I think about it in the new paradigm, what came to me as I meditated was preparing yourself for the unseen. And how do we prepare ourselves for the unseen? Because really it's the collective consciousness. We can have a collective consciousness of fear. We can have a collective consciousness of hate. We can have a collective consciousness of love. We can have a collective consciousness of anything. And right now, our attention is being focused on this duality that we're in and the chaos and confusion. And that's where our attention is. But as we prepare to move into the new paradigm, it's this unseen realm. The shift is happening. I mean, the chaos that's going on in our world today is part of that shift. You can either be connected or attached to it and live in that place of being fearful or being uncertain or being frightened. Or you can shift your focus and prepare yourself for this other outcome, which is what this whole podcast is about. When we look at the five guiding principles of the new paradigm, those are the things that are the structure, the building blocks for that. And for me, when I think about preparation, I need to prepare for that. And that begins with recognizing that whatever this chaos is going on right now is basically out of my control. And that what is under my control is my attention. And where I put my attention, energy flows. So as I prepare to make a shift into the new paradigm, I have to trust in something that I don't see, but that I feel. And I think, and I know that a lot of people feel that same way, that we're holding space for this new way of being, this new human experience. And to prepare for that, it's releasing fear and preparing a state of consciousness that is open to possibilities. Preparing yourself with the understanding that good will prevail. Preparing yourself with the wisdom and the knowledge that the duality consciousness, this material world that we see as so real, is truly just an illusion that we all create by agreeing to believe certain things. And the more that you agree to the old paradigm, the more of it you will get. The more you buy into the media and the fear and the us versus them mentality, which is so pervasive, that brings you down into those lower vibrational frequencies. And that creates this feeling of fear, which then makes you feel like, oh, how do I prepare? How do I keep myself safe? The world is going to fall apart. What am I going to do? How can I protect myself? Whereas if you move up into that higher consciousness and higher frequencies, where we move up into peace, love, joy, prosperity, wisdom, and those higher frequency beliefs and feelings, knowing that this is all happening for the greater good, that something good is emerging, something better for all humanity is emerging. And the more of us that hold space for that, the sooner it'll get here. And this isn't really this, I know that a lot of people think it's like so Pollyanna to think, oh, good will prevail, may the force be with you. Well, that is, that's no joke. It's real. And fear and keeping us in fear and all the things that we're hearing and reading about and the divisiveness that is just permeating our culture and our world and the capitalism that's gone crazy, this toxic capitalism where the major corporations have power and control in so many places they shouldn't, and they're taking so much from people and the rich are just getting richer and richer, and the middle class and the poor are getting poorer and poorer. It's like the system is so screwed up. And if you look at that and you watch that, it makes you even more afraid and feeling like you have to prepare even more, to prepare for something you don't even know what it is or how it's going to happen or how it's going to play out. And that is a negative way to prepare. I guess preparing, the word prepare in itself it's just having the sense of awareness. Like, I feel I have to bring myself down sometimes out of that connection to, I'll see something that's really negative out in the world, or that I see something that makes me fearful. And I know that if I go down that path, it'll just bring me more and more fear. And part of my preparation, I think, for this new paradigm is catching myself when I do that. It's like, oh, I have to remember that fear builds on itself, and the more I pay attention to it, the more it grows. Where do I want to be putting my attention? And that's where I shift. That's my preparation. It's like, wait, stop. I want to put my attention on the fact that I know that they're good in people is the basic function of almost every person. All we have to do is look at any kind of catastrophe or calamity or horrible event, and what happens? People all come together to help one another. That is our basic nature, to support and nurture and help one another. And it's like we have been so separated from that. But when this crisis occurs, if there's a tornado or a hurricane or a flood or something happens, all the people, come forth and help one another. It's like that goodness of people is the basis of humanity. And we have to get back in touch with that. So that's what I think about. That's what I remind myself and my preparation of, pull yourself back and put your attention towards what you want to grow. And what I want to grow is this concept that we all see the good in each other. We all support one another, that there is enough for everyone, that good will prevail, that community is returning. If anything, through all this kind of chaos we've been in the last few years, the thing I see more than anything is community building. How many places I have gone, and even when we were RVing, the community building in the RV community. We've taken a trip recently, and you can see farmers markets, and you can see different events where people are coming together, where they know that we have each other. How many people are, growing things or raising chickens? We have people all over where I live up in the White Mountains who are raising chickens, and can get eggs, and you meet people. And there's another woman who I met who's teaching people about plant medicine, as far as herbs and any kind of tinctures you can make for being healthy in through nature. I mean, all these people are returning to the sense of sovereignty and community, and building this idea of helping one another. And that is part of this new paradigm. It's like we have lost touch with that idea that we are all together, and we have been separated. And I think that's really the goal of this divisiveness that's going on, is to separate us, to keep us as in, away from each other, and fighting and bickering and seeing them versus us. And that is not at all how it is. In reality, when you're out in the communities and you see people, there are people helping people and building community and being together and sharing information. It's the natural way. It's the natural way, and they can't stop that. So when I pulled that word prepare, I was thinking about the people that I asked to write words, and they're people that I care about and people that I love. And I wasn't trying to guess who wrote this word, but I realized that there was some kind of fear in that. The energy I got from that word was fear-based. And that if we could prepare enough, that we would feel safe. And I wanted to say that you can prepare all you want, and the idea of safety comes from someplace else. It comes from a deeper inner knowing. And I don't think there's anything wrong with preparing, but if you're doing it out of fear, then it's going to cause you pain. It's going to cause you to suffer, as I witnessed with my late husband, and how his world got smaller and smaller the more he worried about who was going to come and how it was going to happen. And the fear involved in that is just really great. And again, I could understand completely why he felt that way from what he witnessed, because I have no idea. I can't even comprehend what he witnessed. But he saw a vulnerability and innocence that he did not want to have happen in his life. So when I think about preparing for the new paradigm, I can think of only, like, the main thing that I think about is open mind. It's this whole Wayne Dyer quote that I've lived for years. It's keep a mind that's open to everything and attached to nothing. It's like, understand that good is going to prevail. And you may not understand how or when or what it looks like, but you have to have a belief that it is. And if you hold that belief enough, that is all it takes. I was listening to an audiobook with Greg Braden, and he was talking about elevation of frequency. And he was saying that one person who can elevate their vibration or their frequency into these higher levels can affect up to 90,000 people. Well, if you imagine the opposite of that, a negative person who's fearful and hateful and accusatory and suspicious and all these lower, negative, hateful, bigoted, these lower emotions, now how many people they affect. And I hope that it's not 90,000, but it's that idea that what you think and how you behave and what you believe affects other people. So the more of us that elevate our frequency and believe and prepare in this idea that good is going to prevail and that the good in people will always come forth. It's another quote by Wayne Dyer. He says, when you squeeze an orange, you get orange juice. And when you squeeze a person, when things get intense or tight, you're going to get what's inside that person that comes out. If you're living in fear, you're going to get more fear. If you're living in a belief that good is going to prevail, then you're going to get more good. And you're going to see good in your life. I think that is how I want to prepare for this shift in consciousness, this new world that's being birthed at this moment in time, that good is going to prevail. People are coming together. Toxic structures are going to collapse. And yeah, that might be scary, but it needs to happen. Those toxic structures have been built and built and built, and they're no longer serving people. They're serving the idea of greed, and we cannot let that continue. And things as we've known them may look different, but understand that in the long run, it's all going to be better for people for all of us. It's like we have to get back to those ideals, those guiding principles that I wrote about in my book. The 5 guiding principles: unity consciousness, love and cooperation, autonomy and self-expression, that we are all multi-dimensional energy beings, and that I am that I am. It's like it's all there. It's all part of what's being birthed. And getting to know your neighbors, getting to know people, and not go, oh, all my friends are Republicans, or all my friends are Democrats, or I only live in this part of town, or I don't go to those kind of places, or, oh, I don't like people who like this kind of music. Every time you separate yourself from someone else, it makes this divide wider. And every time you look at a person and you separate all that other stuff out and see this essence of the divine, this essence of humanity in them, we're all connected. We're all together. And that's what we have to keep our attention on. If you're going to prepare for anything, prepare yourself to open your own mind and trust that good will prevail. And it will, and it is. All right, well, that I think is enough for this word, prepare. Thank you for whoever wrote that word, and it gave me a lot to think about. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you next week. If you want to learn more about the 5 guiding principles of the new paradigm, you can listen to my audiobook, which is The Pocket Guide to the New Paradigm, which is a free audiobook on YouTube. I'll link it below. And the other thing that I have available is the Heart Archetype Quiz. It's a short quiz that answers the question, am I listening to the call of my heart? And you take the quiz and you'll discover what might be blocking you from living the call of your heart. And I think that's what we're all being called to do right now, is to look inside, connect with our heart, and follow its guidance. If you want to take that quiz, there's a link right below. If you have any questions or comments, feel free. You can also leave those below.